Right here, y'all, and the bench was located right here on the left. That's
So
where
this is the Forest Gump part.
Saying, life is like a box of chocolate.
So we just paid for it. We're gonna do this hop on, hop off trolley tour.
On the left, this natural body of water is Savannah River. Of course, Savannah River touches an island. The white building that you see on Washington Island is the International Trade and Convention Center. It was complete in the spring of 2000 on River Street. And inside, you'll find everything from sunglasses to jewelry. Over to our right, all of these buildings have been restored. 90% of these buildings once were cotton warehouses. You see, the houses that we saw on today in the historic district, they were built with money made from cotton. Cotton was king here in Savannah until 1956. The other 10% of these buildings were ship chandlery. They held everything nautical from rope to resin. You'll see in her hand she has a towel on apron. Down by her foot is a lantern. Now, legend has it that when Florence Morris was 19 years old, she met and fell in love with a young sailor who went off to sea and promised to return. Florence Morris would wave at every ship that came to the port of Savannah, by day with that towel or that apron, or by night with that lantern, for a total of 44 long years.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that young man never returned, and she passed away of a broken heart and some very tired arms. Now, they don't stand here in Savannah. If you look out the trolley once again to your right, you'll see our state tree, the live oak. What you see hanging from this tree, we call Spanish moss. Now, it's actually an airborne plant from the pineapple family.
Oh, wow.
It has a little yellow flower and a parasite that we call a chigger, so please don't take it home. We believe that the colonists would stuff
Oh gosh, those were those itchy things.
and their mattresses with that airborne plant. And that's where the saying came from. Sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite.
Wow. I never knew that about Spanish moss. I won't be touching it now.
Built between 1791 and 94. Now, ahead of us is Warren Square, named to honor Joseph Warren. He was a physician from Boston. And unfortunately, he was killed in the war at Bunker Hill a few days before his 34th birthday. Central area of the colonial district. And as I mentioned, we don't have that many houses.
Yeah, that's Warren Square.
Area due to the many fires that we've had here in Savannah.
So yeah, she said this is the oldest residential area.
Fire of 18 coming up ahead of the trolley. This was the home of James Havisham Jr. and his two sons. This is a Georgia-style mansion. It was then purchased by Planters Bank. And today, it is the old Pink House restaurant and tavern. Catty corner to your left. This is a very fine eating establishment.
Oh, there we go, the Pink
This
House.
is the old Pink House.
Oh, this one's Reynolds Square. This is your square, Mama.
Excuse me, John Reynolds. John Reynolds founded Methodism. He didn't stay in Savannah very long, but he also started the first Sunday school here in Savannah. His brother Charles wrote hymns. Have you seen this? Have you seen this square? Have you seen this monument? Okay.
No.
His monument is right there in that square.
Okay.
Go back and see that. Get a picture of it. Now, Savannah.
So that was the information on Reynolds Square.
Of $500,000. Our next stop is stop number 12. That's where you'll find the old city exchange bell. Anyone for stop number 12? Store owners normally an opening and a closing time. That bell was also rung to warn of fires. Over to our right, this terracotta colored building. This was the Savannah's Cotton Exchange. Today it is the Freemason home. The Savannah's Cotton Exchange and this winged lion, which is going to be Griffin, God. Coming up on our right in just a few moments are two cannons. These two cannons, they come from Yorktown. They're called Washington guns. Here to our right are Washington guns. Over to our left is the U.S. Customs House. This building is built out of granite that comes from Quincy, Massachusetts. Our next stop is stop number 13. That's Ellis Square. She took $200. She started making sandwiches and other meals out of her kitchen, earning the name the Bag Lady. She very quickly outgrew her kitchen. A second location was located on the west end of Congress Street. The location sat about 90 guests. Today, the location is called Molly McPherson's Little Irish Pub. The Lady and Sons restaurant today is located on the other side of Ellis. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
She was just giving some information on Paula Deen, and her Lady and Sons restaurant is right down this way.
City Market. Colonists would bring their produce and their wares to sell. In 1954, our city fathers decided that we no longer needed an open-air market but a parking garage. So they tore the open-air market down, they built a parking garage. Well, when that 50-year lease was up, they tore the parking garage down, they built up what you see here today, Ellis Square. However, that parking garage
This is Ellis Square right here.
Underground.
But where's the lady?
Lady and Sons, I think we're gonna pass it.
If you look out the trolley to your left, about half, it's going to be on our left. Here's Franklin Square. Franklin Square was called Reservoir Square or Water Tower Square because that's where the water tower sat. Franklin Square is named to honor Benjamin Franklin. He was an agent from the colony of Georgia. The monument in the center of Franklin
Oh yeah, here's the square.
located to our left is to honor the Haitians that fought during the Revolutionary War. Here to our left is Franklin Square. Straight ahead of us, this beautiful building with the red doors is the First African Baptist Church. This is the oldest African American congregation in North America. Now, the owner of the Brampton Plantation would allow their slaves, after they've completed their full day's work, to come and work on that building, making it the first brick-erected building in Savannah, constructed by African Americans and completed in 1859. They have a ship in the bottle collection.
This is the Maritime Museum down here, this next stop.
You had that last prohibition overturned. The Taylor County Courthouse also sits on Liberty Square. And Liberty Square is named to honor the Liberty Boys. It's our new bridge. That's 17th North. It will take you to Hudson Island in South Carolina. Now, the old bridge was struck by a container ship in 1980. That was the Eugene Memorial Talmadge Bridge. It stood 137 feet.
Look at that mural. It's pretty.
250. Straight ahead of us is the green awning. That's the entranceway to the Visitors Center and Museum. You continue on with your tour. Over to your left, you'll see a green Irish trolley. This is where you're going to board.
So we're right now doing our tour with the Old Town trolley tours. Already highly recommend this experience. I did one of the Old Town trolley tours in Key West, and my mom just said when she was in Key West years ago, that was also the tour that she did. And they just give you so much information as you go along, and it's kind of organized like a hop on, hop off tour. So like when they take you past a certain location, they then also stop and you can get off there, you know, tour around and see that, and then you can always come back and, you know, get back on and just kind of, you have access the whole day to keep going. So yeah, we're really enjoying it. So we just got off here. We have to transfer now since this was stop one. We're transferring to our next trolley, but we came inside. This is the business center right now. But yeah, already we are very impressed with this experience.
Set on in the movie to tell his life story.
That'd be cool to see. The Forest Gump bench.
To see the bench. Get a look, take a look for the bench with an empty box of
Chocolate.
There you go, thank you. House cotton was the main reason for the founding of the railroad, Georgia. Cotton was brought from inland Georgia to Savannah here at the port for distribution throughout the world. Some of the reasons for the founding of the colony were to help the poor in England. That time they threw debtors in prison. You might remember from your school days, Georgia being described as a debtor's colony. That wasn't exactly true. No more than 1/3 of the early settlers could be debtors, and they were actually considered to be indentured servants, which meant they would work 5 to 7 years. They would pay off their debts, and then they were free like everybody else. Of course, Moon River, and many, many more. We'll be going by the Mercer House today on the tour. That is where the alleged murder took place. Presbyterian Church. This church dates 1889. It's got the tallest steeple of any church in Savannah. It is 227 feet high. Now take a look up at the steeple, y'all. If you come by here, you'll see this is where the feather came from.
Oh, for Forest Gump
I'm gonna give
in
you
the
another
opening.
shot when we turn the corner. And that's in the opening scene of the movie.
Okay, it's this Presbyterian church right here that was used in Forest Gump in the opening sequence.
Life story, and that was right here, y'all. Right, you see the Chippewa Square sign? That was taken down. These green plants weren't here, just the wall, and the bench was located right here on the left. That's
So
where
this is the Forest Gump part.
Saying, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So
It's a pretty park.
Then you get another view. Now you'll get a better view. You can see this. On the right here at the end of the drain pipes, there are dolphin downspouts. There's one here at the corner of the that was hard to see, but you can see the one at the corner. Look down right here. See? They look at you with James Oglethorpe, the colony founder. That statue was sculpted by Daniel Chester French.
Oh, look at all those
French
puppies.
sculpted the seat in Lincoln.
Puppies of Savannah.
Smells good.
It does smell good.
That was a Ford dealership. The Model T would fit through the door right there. See? I believe a brand new Ford would fit through the door. Now this is stopped. I'm worried to get off here. I can't. Wait a minute. Anybody want to get off?
Aww, hi horsey. So pretty.
Now, in the middle of the square, Sergeant Jasper, see him holding the flag? He was a Revolutionary War hero, killed in the siege of Savannah. Now take a look. South Carolina became famous because of his ability to always keep the colors above ground. But he was killed in the siege of Savannah, one of the bloodiest battles of the Revolutionary War. That battle was fought where we started out on tour. At the Visitors Center, that was the battlefield. On the right is a green Meldrum house, built in 1853. It's got the original garden in front of it. That house was used by General Sherman as his headquarters for design. This is where they started out in Savannah. You see the two cannons in front of it? The building is Romanesque in style with a rounded arch. You see that?
It's pretty.
They dug those cannons up when they restored the building. That was built in 1892. The back of the horse here. Look in the middle. See? That's Pulaski. That represents being killed in battle, falling off the back of the horse. He was in charge of the American cavalry. He was also killed in the siege of Savannah right along with Sergeant Jasper, the highest ranking foreign officer to die in the American Revolutionary War. And then on the right, the Twin Mirrors house. That house is actually two houses almost identical inside and out, built by a Presbyterian minister for his twin daughters who fought over everything. And Midnight in the Garden, The Good and Evil was based on. That's where Jim Williams, and he was a wealthy antique owner, was charged with murder, went on trial 4 times for the alleged murder. Found guilty the first 2 trials, realized he better get a new lawyer, so he came here to the Armstrong House on the right and recruited Sonny Siler. Sonny Siler is a gentleman that owns the Ugga Bulldog, the Georgia mascot. He got Jim a 1858.
There's Forsyth Fountain.
If you look back at the house to the right,
It's pretty.
you will see the bricks are covered in marble dust. The fence around the house is a replica of the fence around Buckingham House. And we're going to see some of those. Look real quick to the right at Magnolia Place. This is a Victorian district. You'll notice different shapes and
Beautiful.
styles. 20 acres in size and designed
wow.
for recreation.
I had no idea it was this big, Forsyth Park.
John Forsyth. He was Secretary of State under Andrew Jackson and the Governor of Georgia. Most of these trees on the left here are called live oak. The live See, that is a Spanish-American War Memorial. That's called the hiker. The soldier is called the hiker, dedicated to all those Georgians that went to fight for Cuba during the Spanish-American. Stop on the other side of this building, y'all. This is a mansion on Forsyth right here. 4 diamond bed brick.
Wow.
Richard Kessler started with this building. This was built in 2001. Built new. Now, he built it as an addition to the building that sits on the other side of it, which was built in 1886, 2001, and the one further over, 1886. You can't tell these 2 apart. Take a look. See?
Oh, wow, yeah.
That's new, old. 4 diamond bed breakfast. It is. It was a private home. It was a private home, and it was designed by Albert Einberg. He's the one that designed the railroad building. And then, for a long time, it was Fox and Weeks Funeral Home. Now, this was a funeral home, and one of the other ones we're going to see, which is another 4 diamond bed breakfast, was also a funeral home, and that is a keyhole house. We're going to see. It's got a witch's hat, and they face in the same direction. See the windows? They're facing northwest at the same angle. That's how much his stickler and detail he is. That's a pretty good deal there. But 4 diamond, we're going to see one more at least in here. That's
So this is over 250 years old. Oh my gosh.
When it doesn't get rain, it turns brown. And you think it's going away, and then when it rains, it comes right back. It's an airborne plant. It hangs from the different trees and the telephone lines. It's not a parasite, though. It's not harmful to the trees. The moss lives off the water in dust. The early settlers used the moss to make pillows and mattresses, but that wasn't the best idea in the world. The moss has chiggers. Yeah, red bugs. If you've ever heard the phrase, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs.
But we're learning a lot about Spanish moss. We never knew.
This is our next stop up here on the right, y'all, Massie School. This is the oldest public school building in Georgia. It was built in 1856. Today it's used as a school museum. Take a look at this house on the right. It sat vacant for 20 years. Vacant. I'm not exaggerating. Still vacant, actually. They're restoring it now. They started in March. Look at the front of it. Look at the steps coming down. A little circular design now. They changed that. It was stuccoed over. The bricks were stuccoed over like right here, like this house. And you see how the staircase here comes straight down. Built in 1855. Right in here made with Savannah gray brick. That was where Ruby went to the therapist, if anybody remembers Ruby. Short-lived TV series. We had her on the trolley. She could actually talk for 90 minutes. I drove her around and she did the tour, just ad-libbing stuff for 90 minutes. She could, she did that.
Well, you're doing pretty good.
Side of those two magnolia. And on the right here is the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. That is the oldest and the largest Catholic cathedral in Georgia. It was completed in 1896. The stained glass windows and indoor stations of the cross were brought here from Austria. It just went through an $11 million renovation. It settled their differences with guns, and that was a convenient place.
This is the dueling grounds. Oh my gosh. Very Hamilton-esque, the duels.
Cemetery. We started using this in 1750 and used it until 1850. These are subterranean graves. You see the vaults or the tombs. There are steps that go down waist deep. You can bury 9 family members in each one of those, 3 on either side and 3 in the back. Yeah. During the Civil War, when Sherman and the Union soldiers occupied Savannah, the soldiers camped out here in the cemetery.
What does DAR stand for?
DAR is Daughters of American Revolution. They put that gate, that's a good question, they put that gate up there in 1912. Duke, the old city fire bell, that bell weighs 5,000 pounds. Look at the clanker on it. They meant business with that, I'll tell you. Each square was given a number, and they would ring it that many times. Savannah had the first fully motorized fire department in it. Will Smith stayed there. That's on the market if you're interested. 3.6 million.
Oh my gosh.
Not that bad, really, considering it's right next door to the birthplace of Julia Gordon Love. That's on the right here. She was born inside that house on Halloween night, 1860. Yep, she was a Halloween baby. 1956 for $65,000. Talking about the Girl Scouts, on the right is the Julia Gordon Low Federal Building. This building was built in 1983. Now we're tearing these down. There were 3 of them built here. One's been torn down. Look what now we're building one to replace it. Now look here. This is got, you see, look at the picture. That's what it's going to look like when it's finished. Science is built by Alexander's son, or Edward's son Alexander, right on the left here. Built in 1820. After Alexander died, he left the house to his sister Mary. Mary never married. When she passed away, she left the house to the Georgia Historical Society.
Oh, look how pretty he is.
If you want to do that, we ought to get off on 9.
That marks the spot where James Oglethorpe, the colony founder, spent his first night on that bench. I had a little girl last week on the tour ask me how come Oglethorpe slept on that bench when it was right in front of a big hotel. That's called Buddy Mike. This was built in 1852. John Wesley preached his first sermon right here on that spot. Not on that building, but on that spot there. James Oglethorpe also had his house there. He had a little wooden house there. This is Johnson Square. This is the first square on the left laid out in Savannah. Named after Robert Johnson. He was the royal governor of South Carolina when the colony was founded in a big help for the urban settlers. Pretty car on the left right here. Look at that. To General Nathaniel Greene, and General Greene is buried up under. He was George Washington's second in command during the American Revolution. Revolutionized the cotton business. This monument here in the middle of this square is to William Washington Gordon. Gordon was the first president and the founder of the Central Georgia Railroad. Probably most importantly, though, he was the grandfather of Julia Gordon Love, who started the Girl Scouts. Look at now, that is a monument, is it not? And then next door to that is Tomachichi, the boulder, see? Remember Tomachichi, right? Chief of the Yamaha Indians from Alabama.
7-footer.
And as we come around the square, coming up on the right, will be the Owens Thomas House. Been described as one of the most beautiful homes in America. The Marquis de Lafayette addressed the citizens of Savannah from that balcony on the right there. In 1825, he spoke for an hour and a half from that balcony, all in French. The citizens would just nod their heads when he talked. First floor walls are 23 inches thick. That way you can keep the rooms cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And it's got a circular open arm staircase. That's called a loving arm staircase. That was designed for men to go up one side of it and women up the other side. Because back in those days, it wasn't proper to see a woman's ankles. Not like it is today. John
Ooh,
Brown.
best ice cream in Georgia.
Next door was the Wise Brothers Theater. Now that belongs to Savannah College of Art and Design. That's the building on the right. That is a library. That is, ice cream is that good though. It's owned by Leopold Stratton. He's a Hollywood movie producer. He produced one of the Mission Impossible movies. His father started a business 101 years ago. Davenport House, built by Isaiah Davenport. He was a master builder and architect. He had this house built to be his private residence and also to showcase his talents. They were going to tear this house down in 1955 and build a parking garage here. 7 ladies banded together and bought the house and restored it. Those ladies went on to start up the historic Savannah Foundation. That foundation is credited with the restoration of the historic district. Built by William Keogh. He owned the iron foundry here. If you look at the columns, the porches, the balconies, the lintels, all of that was made with iron. That's all painted iron. William Keogh owned the iron foundry. Look at that. He said, if you can build it with wood, I can build it. I can make it with iron. And he set out to prove it without help. At one time, that house was owned by Joe Namath. Y'all not know y'all remember Broadway Joe. There ain't no way around that, is there? There you go. He can walk on water.
These are cute little homes in here.
Look at these last 2 houses on the right here. They were built in 1799. You remember the tin roof, right, before it became designer? Those are real tin roofs right there. Look at the size of it. Look across the square, y'all. You see the big blue house. Look next door at the little red house with the yellow or orange picket fence. That is a 1-room home. That house sold a couple years ago for $350,000.
Wow.
Yeah, $350,000.
The little red one.
It sits on the square. This house, and this is where we believe he got the inspiration for Treasure Island. And that's going to be just ahead of us on the right. This is going to be stop 9.
Here we go.
Okay, now y'all be careful if you're getting off down here. Take your time, use the handrails, and thank y'all for riding with me today. I enjoyed having y'all, and hope y'all enjoy the rest of your from the saloon up under that parking lot, the tunnel came out in the river, which is just ahead of us. So if you hung out in the saloon too long and had too much to drink, there was a chance that you could wake up on a ship with a Navy career ahead. This ramp was made with cobblestones. These cobblestones were used as ballast on the merchant ships coming over here. The sailors would unload a portion of the cobblestones to take on cotton. This next area down here is called Factor's Walk. This is where a factor would be known as a broker today. They would stand out here in the walkways and look at the wagons passing up under it. Those wagons would be full of cotton. They would inspect.
And we're back down now to where we started our tour here on the waterfront.
Once that cotton was purchased, it'd be stored in these buildings.
There goes the riverboat.
The Savannah River. You're looking for something else to do. They may have one more today at 3:30. If I was them, it's busy. Savannah's it's been busy today. Very, very busy.
This has been such an amazing day. Right now we are heading back up towards the car to get ready to get in the car and continue our road trip. But oh my gosh, I love that. Doing that hop on, hop off trolley tour was, I think, the best. Yeah, that was so good.
Mom, that was worth it.
Yeah, that was so worth it. It was like $34 a person, and it just, you know, for what it gives you of, like, you know, we could have walked around and saw some of the stuff, but it is very spread out, so you cover a lot of ground doing the tour, and they're giving you all the history and information. That's what I really liked about it, so I would highly recommend that. Very good experience. So yeah, now we're heading back to the car. Oh, that was so much fun. I love that. Also, something I found so interesting was learning about the Spanish moss. Because we had
this has live chiggers in there.
Chiggers, yeah. So Spanish moss. We had this whole conversation driving over here of like, and people, what is it? You know,
back then, years ago, back in the 1700s, used it to stuff mattresses and pillows.
Yeah, and that's where the saying "Don't let the bed bugs bite" came from.
Yeah, sleep tight.
Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. That's where that came from. Yeah, because we were talking about like, where does Spanish moss come from? Like, is it a thing? And they said it's an airborne like plant, and it kind of derives almost like from pineapples, but it thrives just off of like water. They said it's not harmful to the tree because it doesn't like, it's not a parasite to the tree or anything. But yeah, thankfully we one time in Florida tried to bring some home to grow it ourselves, so we're like, we won't do that again, because now we know that there's chiggers. I've learned from my time in Texas, I've learned all about what chiggers are. They're basically like little bugs that get under your skin and make you itch all over, so we will avoid Spanish moss. But yeah, I just found that very interesting, so we learned a lot about Spanish moss today too. Okay, so we are back on the road. We had, like I said, the best time in Savannah this morning. You know, we kind of started out, we didn't have any exact plans of what we were going to do. We had talked about, you know, doing a tour or something, and happened upon that one, the Old Town trolley tours. Ended up being like absolutely perfect. I would highly recommend them. So, you know, it just worked out so perfectly that we were able to do like everything that we wanted to do in, you know, a pretty short amount of time. Like, we just kind of spent the morning there. It's about, what time is it right now? It's almost 2 o'clock.
Almost 2.
Yeah, 1:57. So we left, you know, a few minutes ago and hit the road here. So thank you so much for watching this vlog. I'm gonna go ahead and end this vlog here of our, you know, time in Savannah. And be sure to subscribe here to the channel so that you will see the next video that's going to go up, which will be the rest of our travel day heading into Florida, going to Walt Disney World. So like I said, be sure to subscribe with those notifications on. Go ahead and like this video and leave me some comments down below. All of those things really do help out the channel and help support me. Thank you again for watching, and we will see you soon in the next video. Bye! Walt Disney World Travel Day 2. We are back in the car and we are heading to Walt Disney World. I'm actually wearing, here I have to show my shirt, home on it. Hello, just checking in. We are still in Georgia right now.
St. Mary's River, and we are now official in Florida.